And welcome back to Cottage Talk Full Time. I'm Russ Goldman. Joining me right now is Emilio Donato. This is our initial reaction show to Fulham's 0-0 draw against Brighton Hove Albion. It happened again, Emilio. I want to just get your opening reaction to this. And yes, just so everyone knows, the title's run. This is actually a full-time show because we're only going to go about 20, 25 minutes. But I just want to go right to you, Emilio. Just give me your initial reaction to this 0-0 draw.
Listen, I've been a half-glass full person for the last 2 months. We've talked about some great performances against the big teams. We talk about the same problems, can't score goals, but we're defending well, we're playing well. That performance wasn't good enough, sorry. So I'm not going to sit here and defend that performance. You know, I've defended the team when they've done well, but I've always said, judge us when you play the teams around us. We've played a team around us. We needed to go there and win the game. We deserve nothing from that game. I thought, sorry, it's a lackluster performance. I'm actually very angry tonight. You know, we were second best pretty much throughout the game. We were lucky to come up. Forget the last minute clearance off the line from Lewis Dunk. What did we offer for the preceding 92 minutes? Very, very little. We gave the ball away cheaply. You know, Brighton. I'm going to give them credit. They actually played very, very well today. They looked dangerous when they came forward. They got the same problem as us, can't score goals. So they're going to be disappointed they didn't come away with 3 points. But I can't defend our performance tonight. So we're running out of games now. So I am now starting to get worried because we're not capitalising on the game that we had. We need to go out there and win, show more purpose, show more fight. But we offered nothing tonight. Our passing was uncharacteristically very poor. You know, we looked a bit disorganised. You know, the weather didn't help, but then again, the weather didn't help us. It wouldn't have helped Brighton either because we both play a passing game. So I'm not using that as an excuse. I just thought we offered very, very little, no creativity through the middle. You know, Lookman was basically Brighton did their job very, very well and gave Lookman very, very little space.
Yep.
Without that outlet, we have very little to offer. And, you know, I'm starting to worry where the goals and the games and wins are going to come from. This was a game to judge us against a team around us, and we came away fortuitously with a point. You know, so not good enough for me. It's a very, very poor performance.
It is, Emilio, and I'm not going to disagree with what you have to say, and I'm not going to defend the performance because it was poor. What is so disappointing is it started bright, and you have to ask yourself, why did it start bright, Emilio? We're controlling the play.
Yeah.
In the opening stages, and I'm thinking we're going to control it. We're going to limit their opportunities. And then it just started, and I'm going to go right here because, again, my opening thoughts involve this. It's the first half, not just mistake after mistake, bad passing, just putting our goalkeeper under pressure time and time again. And, again, this is where I'm coming from. What really upset me was I really thought Fulham came to play. And I thought they were going to really take it to Brighton when they had their chances, but then they just kept really making mistakes. And to Brighton's credit, they were taking advantage of our mistakes, but they were just as bad as Fulham with scoring. They're struggling too. So I'm going to ask you this. What do you think was the root cause of all of these mistakes in the first half? Because it wasn't just one player. I can name 3 or 4 players. Aina, Tosin, Tete. I mean, they're all culpable for this because again, they're all making mistakes. It's not just one person. There are so many of them making these bad mistakes, and I understand the conditions, but it's the same for both sides. That should not be the excuse.
No,
Emilio,
no.
What do you put it down to? Do you give more credit to Brighton Hove Albion for forcing Fulham into errors, or is this just, as we would say in tennis, unforced errors, meaning that they were just causing their own problems? I'm going to say it was unforced errors.
Yeah, it was all unforced errors. All unforced errors. And people are saying Benjamin, we didn't lose. Yeah, but we didn't deserve to get anything from that game. Now, it's a manner of the performance.
We absolutely did not.
It's a manner of the performance that worries.
We'll take the point, but let's be honest. They didn't deserve a point.
No,
let's be honest here.
That's my issue. It's the manner of that performance. Got to start the first 10 minutes. We're on the front foot. We look sharp. We look quick. Some good passing, and suddenly like you said, we characteristically giving the ball away. Headers going, loose headers, loose passing. Tosin, I thought, had an abysmal first half. That's his worst 45 minutes I can remember for a long time. He was, I don't know what was wrong with him today.
Yep.
Aina was giving the ball away cheaply. Tete didn't look sharp enough. Looked a little bit, it was only Anderson who looked a little bit solid in defence. And I was exchanging messages with Rob Wilson just before the game about Joe Bryan being dropped for Decordova-Reid. I wasn't too concerned about that because I actually thought before the game, Bryan's had 2 poor games before tonight. But I actually think we missed a natural left back tonight.
There was
so much space there on the right for Brighton. There was a big hole there, a massive hole. So in hindsight, I look back and say, well, actually, on paper, I wasn't disappointed with Bryan being dropped after those shocking performances against Burnley and Man United. But we missed a natural left back. Brighton had a bit too much space for my liking there, on top of the uncharacteristic mistakes, giving the ball away cheaply, basically giving them possession. We were handing the ball straight back to Brighton. They didn't have to work hard. That's the thing that worried me. But again, we've got to go to these grounds and show more determination, show more fight, especially we're at the bottom. We're still 5 points behind Brighton, even though we've got a game in hand. But I'd rather have points on the board than games in hand. We're running out of games, and nothing from that performance tonight suggests we're going to stay up. I'm not doom and gloom tonight, but that performance was not good enough. Sorry, I'm measuring them on tonight's performance only, not the preceding 2 months of good performances. That wasn't good enough on a must-win game.
Well, let me ask you this, Emilio, because I want to focus here because you and I were just messaging back and forth. We were actually, I guess you could say, encouraged by the starting 11 because I wanted to see how Bobby Decordova-Reid would play this role. Let's just say it didn't work. It didn't work. So I'm going to say this right now. I didn't want to see Joe Bryan start. I actually wanted to see this experiment.
Yeah.
But it didn't work. So I'm going to say this now. We missed Anthony Robinson in this match. Okay?
We've missed in the last few games.
Okay?
Yeah.
No one's going to really come out and say it, but I'm going to say it right now. Fulham missed Anthony Robinson, and you could see it every time Brighton went down the right-hand side. I'm thinking, okay, not only can he defend, but he can put pressure going the other direction. Nothing against Bobby Decordova-Reid, but he did not look comfortable in that position, Emilio. And I think that was a huge weakness. That was a weak link, as we would say. Nothing against Bobby Decordova-Reid. He has been great with the ability to play so many positions. But you know what? They needed I guess you could say, a left wing back in this position. Yeah. A natural left back, but again, they were playing 3 at the back, so you would have a left wing back, and they missed Anthony Robinson. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I just for me, it just again, Cavallero. I thought the way we were set up against Man United, I'm surprised we changed that system tonight. I thought we changed it. We put Cavallero up top.
We did.
What did he offer? Very extremely. As soon as he came off, I thought Mitrovic had a decent 10, 15 minute spell when he came on to me. He did some nice holding up the ball well, nice layoffs. Potentially could have done better with that header. He did more in those 10, 15 minutes than Cavallero did in the preceding 75, 80 minutes. So again, we can talk about maybe Parker's delay making some key substitutions. Did we want to win that game enough, or was it a matter of just protecting that draw towards, as time was running out? For me, we lacked ambition tonight. We weren't set up particularly well. We were making those unforced errors, and I think some people are saying it's the pressure. I think the pressure did tell, because playing against Liverpool, Man United, Tottenham, Chelsea, when you're not expected to make mistakes, to expect to win games, we played with more flair in a way. We looked more comfortable. Today, when the pressure starts to count, I think we failed miserably. A bit like the home game against Brighton a month ago. We struggled in that game, and to be honest, over 2 games, Brighton probably deserved to beat us in both games. I'm going to be honest. Let's be very frank. Brighton, the reason they are where they are, the same problems that we are. They can't score goals. But overall, Brighton should be proud of that performance without the goal. And I just thought we got away with murder today. So performance simply not good enough. I'm not defending Fulham here at all.
I don't blame you, my friend. Okay, and I'm not going to defend them either because it wasn't good enough. But I'm going to ask you this question, and I asked you this before we started. I'm thinking about this. Okay, so if you're Graham Potter and you're Scott Parker, so which team out of these 2 teams does this draw hurt more? So I'm going to ask you the question. I actually think it hurts Brighton more, and I'm going to make the argument for it because they had an opportunity to really separate themselves from Fulham. They had the opportunity and they failed, and they had many chances to win this match. I think that this could affect them moving forward, their confidence. Fulham found a way when they did not play well at all to get a point. They didn't deserve it. I agree with you. They didn't deserve it. I think this match hurts Brighton and Hove Albion because they had a chance to really extend themselves. That's just my thoughts. How about you?
I see where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, we've got 5 points to claw back still. We're still 5 points from safety. That's a problem. We're running out of games. If these are games, if we actually fought hard, how many saves did the goalkeeper have to make? Their goalkeeper, and a must-win game
at the end.
Yeah, how many saves did he have to make? That's my concern. It's I've defended the team. I've always said judge us when we play the likes of Brighton, West Brom. Maybe if we beat West Brom and went on Saturday 4 points out of 6, not a bad return. But I just want to see a little bit more fight, a little bit more determination, a bit more ambition to win. And for me, I think we were set up not particularly right up front. Throughout the game, we're making those unforced errors. And I think at the end of the day, I'm going to give Brighton credit. They played much better football under the same conditions. The pitch wasn't great, but they're a passing team, as are we. But they just wanted the game more, and unfortunately, their lack of goals restricted them from winning the game tonight. So in that respect, we're lucky. Areola had another outstanding game. How many more times are we going to say Areola man of the match?
Well, that's not a good sign. We've already said that.
Cavallero man of the match. Mitrovic man of the match. We need goals. We haven't scored 2 goals in a game since Leicester City away. This is now worrying. Sorry, I'm a little bit speechless now. And again, how positive I am, but I can't be positive when we deserve absolutely nothing. And I think Steve Lydiard said maybe we should have been thrashed by this performance tonight. Brighton should have won at a canter if they took their chances. The game could have been over.
But they didn't, and that's my point.
They didn't, but we're still 5 points behind, and that's my point.
Okay.
We're still 5 points from safety, minimum. We're 2 games away from safety. Games are running out, and we're done scoring.
Okay, I'm going to share some comments. Let's start here. Fulham, and I understand that. I'm going to share this one. Hurts Brighton. We got away with a point. That's actually a good point. Here's another one. Gap the same, but another game gone.
That's my point. We're running out of games.
Here's from my friend Chris. It hurts Fulham more. You cannot convert draws into wins, and that's actually a good point. I knew Chris was going to chime in here. Hurts Fulham more. Let's see. And, of course, Steve Lydiard has to chime in. Russ Gold and Brighton have 5 more points that will struggle to pick up. And that's I guess you could say an argument. But, Steve, they had a chance to really distance themselves, and they didn't. And that, to me, if I'm them, I'm actually concerned. If I'm a Brighton fan, I'm concerned. I understand we're concerned. We should be concerned as well. But they had an opportunity to distance themselves, and they did not do it.
We had an opportunity to close the gap, and we did it as well.
And we did too, right?
For me, we're the ones chasing a 5-point deficit.
Dominic, you're right. We've already said it. We are lucky. You're right.
I don't care what Brighton did and didn't do. We offered absolutely nothing to get anything out of that game. The fact we came away with a draw and maybe amazingly snatched a win at the end, which would have been daylight robbery.
That would have been crazy.
That would have been crazy, but. Thank God, like I said, Des Leeds, thank God for Newcastle. There are teams getting drawn into the relegation. Newcastle.
That's right.
Potentially Crystal Palace. Burnley are pulling away, like we've said. We're running out of opportunities. We've got to start winning these games. And that's an opportunity gonna miss. That's it. So I can't, I've got nothing positive to say tonight. Normally I would say clean sheet positive. We deserved nothing. We still didn't lose. These are positives, but not when you're in a relegation dogfight. Desperately fighting for points. That performance was lackluster. Sorry.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Biggest takeaway from the match. Okay. Let's go right there. I'm going to get us started. Biggest takeaway from the match, because we're going to talk about this. You already mentioned, I want to talk about it in just a second. The substitutions being when they came. Mitro, I said at halftime, I tweeted this out, Emilio. Scott Parker, I believe, should have made the change at halftime. Should have brought Mitro on at halftime. Because Mitro made a difference again when he's come on late. But what can you really do in 13 plus minutes? So my biggest takeaway is Mitro needs to start against West Bromwich Albion. That's my biggest takeaway to come out of this. How about you?
I think so. I think it's, we persevere with the likes of Cavallero. It's as much as he tries. So tonight he offered very, very little. Change it for goodness sake.
I've had enough of the Cavallero experiment. That's not working.
Change it. Stop giving him game time. We've got to try something. It's clearly not worked tonight. It hasn't worked the last few games. change it, Scott Parker. You're running out of the game, Scott Parker, as well. So it's, we've got to try something a little bit different. I'll just say that first half performance, Loftus-Cheek, again, I thought this was a game for him to grab, to make a difference. I thought he, other than a couple moments here and there, offered very little. I think overall we've got to give credit to Brighton. They attacked.
Absolutely.
They looked dangerous when they came forward. The only thing they missed was a goal or two, and Areola's a lot to thank us for. But setup wise, we weren't good. I don't think the biggest takeaway from the match really is clearly the system isn't working. We have to be brave and make some more changes. It means dropping Caballero and trying Mitrovic, give him the opportunity to come and make a difference. West Brom will be a good test for him, physical team. It might be a good setup for him. But we have to start Mitrovic on Saturday, I think, whether Scott Parker likes it or not, because we don't look like scoring goals. Because even when Harrison Reed came off, I thought Brighton had a lot more space. I think you judge possession from when Harrison Reed went off to before. Brighton, the last 25 minutes, Brighton dominated attack after attack. They had so much space. So that was another concern for me. I know he keeps rotating Lemina and Harrison Reed, but we missed when Reed came off, in my opinion.
Okay, that's actually an interesting take, and we'll talk about this.
We missed him in that 25 minutes. Brighton had a bit too much freedom in the middle of the park and attacking with so much space. But that's the biggest takeaway from me. It's clearly we need to change. We need to change the attacking offensive setup. Defensively, we know what we can do. Another clean sheet, albeit a bit fortuitously tonight. But we've got to address our attacking options and maybe change the system against West Brom.
Okay, very good. I'm going to share some comments. They're flying in here. It's from my friend Chris. Mitro needs to start at the weekend, otherwise you're doomed. Okay, and then this is from Stefan. Biggest takeaway, the league table does not lie. Sounds like David Holly there. Okay, very good. Here's another one. Mitrovic must start. Biggest takeaway. Here's another one actually agreeing with me. Thank you for agreeing with me. Agree with Russ 100%. Start Mitro. Okay, now I'm just going to keep them coming. This is from Edward 7. I think Scott is worried to pull the trigger on subs early because he'd rather not give up a goal. That's actually a good
point. A good point.
Let's talk about that. Is he, again, so worried about giving up that goal that he's not being aggressive enough? And, we talk about this, Emilio. Is he proactive or is he reactive? Now, he was proactive here because he made the substitutions. But the first substitution wasn't proactive. It was like for like. He made the proactive substitutions at the very end of the match. What are your thoughts about that? And then let's transition and talk about the substitutions.
Yeah, again, it's when have we known Scott Parker to make a change at half time? I don't think I can ever remember he's actually made a tactical substitution.
I was screaming for it at half time.
There's been a few games where we've asked him, hope that he would have made a change at half time. That is not been forthcoming. I think he again left it too late. That again shows lack of ambition for me. It's like, let's not take too many risks. But anyone who has a player of Mitrovic's quality, I know he's out of form at the moment, but use him for goodness sake. Try something a little bit different. Be brave, be bold, Scott. And I think we've criticised him in some recent games where maybe he hasn't made substitutions quickly enough.
Right.
Or he brought on Kamara instead of Mitrovic in some games. So I think we've been a little bit critical of the timing of his substitutions and also the type of substitutions he's made over the last month or so. We have been a little bit critical on these after-match shows, but for me, it's, you're giving him 10, 15 minutes in a game that you need to win. Be more brave, Scott. And I think he lacked a bit of bravery and courage, to be honest, today. And I think at the end, he was maybe looking to just preserve that point, which again, lack of ambition, lack of appetite. You look at his appearance after the game. Scott Parker normally, shows a bit more emotion. Today, he was like motionless, looking into thin air. He's reflecting on that's an opportunity that we've missed, and he knows he got away with blue murder and got away with a point, but in the back of his mind, we're still 5 points behind. And I saw, Chris Davis is saying we've still got 19 games, but these games are running out thick and fast. A point a game on average will not keep us up in this division.
No, it won't.
That's the thing. 2 wins in half a season, not good enough. These are the games you need to be winning and showing more effort and determination. That's the thing that frustrates me tonight.
Okay, so when we talk about the substitutions, what would you have done at halftime, Emilio? Would you have done what I said, bring on Mitro at halftime? Maybe even at that point, bring on Joe Bryan, because again, we already saw at that point that Bobby Decordova-Reid was struggling at that left wing back role? Would you have made it at halftime? Instead of when he made the Mario Lemina substitution. They were saying during the broadcast that they believed that was injury related with Harrison Reed. That's why it was like for like. But what do you think about that? Would you have done what I suggested? Maybe even take it further. We were against Joe Bryan starting, but it wasn't working. Why not bring him on at halftime? It's not working. It wasn't working.
Yeah, for me, that was the substitution I would have made, to be honest. As much I've been disappointed with Joe Bryan's 2 performances before tonight. We were getting called down a bit too easily.
Thank you, Chris, for that, by the way.
So at the end of the day, we could see that the Brighton were getting too much space on their right and our left. So for me, I would have changed the formation immediately. I thought Aina had a very poor game today. I think maybe he did. He looked awful, to be honest. He's giving the ball away cheaply. Did you notice also we're playing a lot? We were just hoofing the ball out time and time.
I noticed that.
Testament to Brighton that they gave us no space, and all we had to do was just hoof the ball out, long balls. And so there were times when it was just heading the ball up, kicking the ball away. We just lacked a little bit of finesse tonight. And maybe we did it again. We've said it time and time again. If we're not allowed to play our style of football, and teams put pressure on us, we struggle to be creative. And so I think that's another factor into the quality of our performance tonight. Right.
And Stefan brings up a good point. And yes, you're right that Bobby Decordova was still on the pitch. You're right. But I still think bringing Joe Bryan on at that point was the right move, because again, they were really hurting Fulham down that side of the pitch. They were really hurting. And I thought, and again, at least he is a natural left back. But, and I'll say it again, I really think Fulham missed Anthony Robinson, like you said, probably the last 2 matches. They've really missed him. Not the FA Cup match. I'm talking about the Manchester United match and this match. You can really see it. You could see what they're missing with him. That's not the reason why Fulham got the draw, but I think that he would have taken away some of the pressure that they had down that side and created them some problems. Where were the problems for Brighton with Bobby Decordova-Reid, and then, of course, when Joe Bryan came on? So, for me, I think that was a problem, along with talking about the substitutions, Amelia.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's we've got to reflect on this. Maybe we can reflect and say, well, maybe we got away with the point. Maybe that point will be may keep us up at the end of the season. At the moment, it's difficult to stay positive when there was a must-win game to play. We weren't set up particularly well, and we created very, very little. That's the thing. It's just the manner of the night. You're judged on 90-minute performances week in, week out. People keep saying the table doesn't lie. I totally agree. But these are the games we need to be hurting teams. We need to be winning those 6-pointers, not against Liverpool and Man United. Not doing it against anybody at the moment, and that's the thing. Go to West Brom on Saturday. Maybe I might be a little bit more happier, but. It's another game that we've lost an opportunity to close a gap against those teams around us. That's why I am now starting to get worried. And I don't know if everyone watching, I think I asked a question last week, are we glass half full or are we a glass half empty? I'm going to ask the same question to everyone here tonight.
That's the same question. Are you glass half full or half empty after this draw? Feel free to share your
less half full than last week. Last week was glass half full comment today. On that performance, judging on that in 90 minutes, it's difficult to be that glass half full. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm being honest here. I'm being honest.
I hear you, my friend. You know me. I'm always glass half full. So, but I understand. I'm shaken and a little stirred, a little James Bond thing there. But yes, I'm shaken by it because again, they played very badly. But again, I want to give Brighton credit. Okay, coming up next to end the show. We're going to talk about Fulham's opportunity at the end to steal the match. And also, who was man of the match? I think it's obvious, but I'm going to ask everyone, can you name someone besides Alphonse Areola as a potential...
Who's worst player? Who's worst, not player of the match? Who's worst man of the match? That's the right word. Who's the worst
man? That's actually a good one. Who was the worst player of the match?
Yeah, let's have your comments around who's the worst player tonight.
Who was the worst player of the match? Okay. All right, Emilio. We'll be doing that in just a couple of minutes. Okay. Coming up next, we're going to do man of the match, and we're going to finish up with our discussion on the worst player of the match. Okay, Emilio, let's get to it. First of all, before we do our thing and talk about worst player of the match and man of the match, and let's talk about the opportunity for Fulham to steal the match. Okay, let's go right there. Your thoughts on the opportunity at the very end. What if that went in?
It's not often there's daylight robbery. That would have been it. But Jesus, it was. I actually honestly thought that was in. I thought, but you look at the replay, maybe Loftus-Cheek could have just put a little bit more power into that shot. I think he tried to place it. He did the right things, but Lewis Dunk found himself, in the right place at the right time. And, that would have been daylight robbery. But imagine had that gone in. Then we would have actually said, you know what, we're 2 points behind. Then to your point, that's going to hurt Brighton because they should have won a game which they lost. Yeah. But, net, we're still 5 points behind him. So we almost nicked it. But with a bit more, I thought Loftus-Cheek did what he had to do. He did the right things. It's just, just good defending by Lewis Dunk right at the death. But the lead up to play, just with Mitrovic's involvement in that, again, he's got to start against West Brom on Saturday. His presence there, I actually thought he was up for it today for those 15 minutes. He looked determined. He looked hungry. He looked, I say, reasonably fit for that 15 minutes. I think you've got to give him a chance. Cavallero does not justify starting on Saturday. I don't understand why we continue to persevere.
No, listen, if they got that goal at the very end, that would have just destroyed Brighton Hove.
Yeah, but they've got card games coming up as well. So let's not forget that. But it's easier said than done. Saying, well, they've got hard games that psychologically they were disappointed not to win the game. But we've got to still win. We've got to win the same amount of league games that we've won all season just to overtake Brighton. We have only won 2 games all season, and we're 5 points still behind them. Just trying to be realistic here. I am still glass full, but less full than it was a week ago.
Okay, very good. All right. Before we have fun with worst player of the match, because that'll be a little fun. We've never done that. That's actually interesting. Let's go to man of the match. If it's not Ariel, who is it? And I'm going to share a comment that I've already seen. Who's your man of the match? Give me a second potential for man of the match.
Second one.
I believe Chris Davidson has Anderson.
Anderson for me. I thought Anderson he was our best defender tonight over the 90 minutes. He looked strong. He made less mistakes. Some good defending. Tosin, I thought, had, especially in that first half, he was giving the ball away cheaply. His passing was off the ball. Heading was poor. He's just making so many mistakes. But I think that's fair shot. I think Anderson for me looked good. He was our best defender tonight.
Okay.
So if there's a second man of the match behind Areola, it would probably be Anderson for me.
Okay, very good. All right, Emilio, you brought this up. Our friend Chris doesn't like going too negative, but you know what? I just think it's I think we should just talk about it because others will talk about it as well. Worst player of the match. Let's do it. Who's your worst player of the match?
I think it's got to be Aina. Aina was awful tonight. Shocking. What did he do of note? To be honest, just kept getting the ball away cheaply. Again, to your tennis analogy, unforced errors.
Unforced errors, yeah.
Easy passing. We're just giving the ball away cheaply. So he was guilty. He was probably the most guilty of that. Cavallero probably wasn't far off behind being just as bad. So Aina, worst player on the pitch for Fulham because of his continuous mistakes, and Cavallero that unfortunately offering very little. He had that sort of half chance, do you want to call it, in the first half. Again, you've got to get your foot around that ball and get some power. Again, he scuffed it, didn't he? Yeah. It's little things like that. Those half chances, you've got to test a keeper in those moments, and we didn't do that. So yeah, Aina worst player for me, and Cavallero not far behind.
Okay, I'm going to share some comments because they're basically going on that thoughts. It seems like it's either Aina or Cavallero. That seems to be the sentiment, my friend. It's one of the two, but I mean, there really weren't that many good performances at all, to be honest with you. And let's go back because I want to give Chris a shout out because Chris is a positive guy, my friend Chris Davidson. So let's give him his top 3. Let's flip right back to man of the match. He has Areola, Anderson, and Anguissa. Would you agree with that?
First half, Anguissa, yes. Second half, he looked tired again. So he didn't look with it. The second half, first half, he made some good surging runs. Again looking hungry, determined, good passing. looked dangerous. He was the one trying to make something happen. Second half, he was anonymous, to be honest. He didn't have a good second half. None of the team admittedly had a good second half. Let's be totally honest.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. All right, Emilio, this has been not a show I kind of wanted to do. I didn't really want to do this, but it is what it is. This is what we have with Fulham's draw, and the performance was not what we were expecting, and credit needs to go to Brighton Hove Albion for that. But when you have these, and I'll say it again, unforced errors, that's on Fulham. There were situations where they were not under pressure, Emilio. Those were unforced errors.
Yeah.
And that's on Tosin, that's on Aina, that's on the lot of them, because it wasn't just one or two players. There was a ton of them. They were making these unforced errors. So that to me is something to not be happy about. Anyways, final thoughts before we wrap this up.
It's I'm trying to stay positive here, but people keep complaining to me that I'm too positive when we played well against Man United. So I'm trying to be a little bit more realistic. I'm getting criticised for being too negative. So as far as I'm concerned, Brighton, I don't know if Russell, who did the show with us on Monday night, is listening, but your team played very well tonight. If I was a Brighton fan, I'd be disappointed we didn't take all 3 points from that.
Oh, so, yeah, absolutely.
You've got to be grateful for grabbing a point when you're playing abysmal. So that's maybe some takeaway from the game, but it's a man of the performance when you're fighting for 3 points against a team around you. If it was against Everton, Leicester, I could say fair enough. But when it's a team that you're capable of beating and look very unlikely to get anything out of the game, that's what gripes me tonight. So, and I'm seeing that Sheffield United beat Manchester United. There you go. So it's what can you do? We haven't taken advantage of some of the results around us. West Brom thrashing. Newcastle defeat yesterday, Crystal Palace defeat yesterday. We could have done something and put the pressure on those teams. In fact, now West Brom, Sheffield United is a touch closer, and we've not really distanced ourselves from those other teams. So net, we've missed a trick here tonight. We've missed a trick.
Okay, I'm gonna end with this because this is a great comment from my friend Chris, who's not a Fulham supporter. So what's in here? Was the players too scared as this was billed as a must-win game? Did they play frightened?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, that is a fair point. I think, and that's probably that explains the reason why we were making those unforced errors, which we saw more unforced errors today than we did against Tottenham, Man United, Liverpool combined.
That's the thing that I don't get about this scenario. Why did we see it tonight? And that's such a good point from my friend Chris. Did they play scared? And there might be something to it. Did the pressure get to them? Which, again, is something that legitimately we should be talking about. Were they feeling the pressure of the build-up of this match? That's actually a good point.
Yeah, it is. It is. And again, it's like I said, if you look at unforced errors today versus those games against bigger teams, we made more tonight than in those other games. Why didn't we attack and show a little more purpose like we did against Tottenham Hotspur 2 weeks ago? Because maybe we had no pressure on our shoulders. No one was expecting to take anything from the game. Now the expectation is you've got to go there and get a win. We were making mistakes time and time again. It's just disappointing. Hopefully they'll go away. They've got 2 or 3 days to recover and come back refreshed. If we beat West Brom on Saturday, we're back in it. If we don't get a win in that game, then I'll ask the same question, glass half full or glass half empty, and see what the people say. I think it'll become more empty if we don't win on Saturday.
Okay, and you and I talked about this. 4 points is, again, was really the minimum here.
Yeah.
We wanted 6, but we're thinking 4. You wanted it to go in the reverse fashion, meaning that you get the win now. But now there's a lot on the West Brom match, so that's a good point. And they're going to be coming off of that shellacking to Man City, so they're not going to be in a good mood with Sam Allardyce. So there's going to be a lot on that match as well. But listen, we are going to wrap up this show. For my co-host, Emilio Danello, I'm Russ Coleman. Thank you, as always, for watching and listening to Cottage Talk.